On the 566th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. In the Zaporizhzhia front, the Ukrainian army continues to gain ground in the Verbove sector, and during the last 48 hours, Ukrainian forces advanced in the vicinity of Novoprokopivka. Ukrainian sources published a series of videos showing their soldiers moving freely in the areas between Novoprokopivka and Verbove, which confirms that the Ukrainian forces now have a full control over the area. The presence of Ukrainian forces in this direction can be confirmed by this footage posted today by Russian sources, where it appears that the Russian artillery targeted the forest lines located only a few hundred meters from the main line of the Russian defense. Today, the Russian source Varganzo reported that the Ukrainian forces are getting closer to Novoprokopivka, as after artillery preparation, Ukrainian forces attacked Russian positions in the forest located only a few hundred meters north of this town. It is possible that the Ukrainian forces have already established control over the forest and are now looking to increase the pressure on the Russian defenses east of the settlement. Varganzo also confirmed the news about an increased activity of the Ukrainian brigades on the western flank in the areas between Kopani and Robotine. According to some Ukrainian sources, the Ukrainian army is trying to clear the trenches between Kopani and Robotine in order to prepare the ground for a possible offensive on Kopani. At the moment, the advances are small, but it seems that the tide is slowly changing in favor of the Ukrainian forces, because during the past 2 weeks, it was the Russian forces that tried to attack in this direction without managing to gain any ground. In the direction of Verbove, the advance of the Ukrainian forces has been very slow during the past 3 days. However, based on geolocated footage, Ukrainian sources informed that Ukrainian soldiers managed to clear another part of the main trench line west of Verbove. Yesterday, the Ukrainian FPV drones were seen hitting the Russian soldiers inside the trenches, but today this part of the trench line was hit by the Russian artillery fire, confirming the advance of the Ukrainian soldiers inside the Russian defensive line. The reason why the Ukrainian forces are insisting on clearing this trench line, even though they are operating on a very dangerous environment, is that taking this part of the trench line would clear the way for a possible storming operation of the Ukrainian armored units towards Verbove. On the Vremvka front, the Ukrainian army continues the efforts to advance in the Novodonetsk-Novomayorsk sector. Based on geolocated footage, it seems that the Ukrainian forces are trying to advance and establish more control in the fields west of Novodonetsk, with the aim of cutting the road between Novodonetsk and Kermenchuk, trying to put the Russian troops under the pressure of a possible encirclement. In the direction of Novomayorsk, Ukrainians continue their attempts to gain a solid foothold north of the village. It is not yet clear what the front line looks like in this direction, but judging by the geolocated footage, we can say that so far the Ukrainian forces have suffered significant losses in this direction. On the other side of the front, it seems that the Russian counterattacks in the areas north of Priutne were stopped. According to Ukrainian sources, Russian forces tried to establish new positions inside the forest that is located about 2 kilometers north of Priutne, but thanks to the work of the Ukrainian artillery and a quick counterattack, the Russian forces were pushed back. On Bakhmut front, Ukrainian sources confirmed the advance of their forces in the northern part of Klishchiivka, and according to some of the Ukrainian sources, for the first time Ukrainian troops entered the village of Andriivka, which was abandoned a few days ago by the Russian troops. This video best describes the situation on the ground in this sector. The Russian forces now continue to be present only along the railway, and whenever they encounter the presence of Ukrainian troops or Ukrainian artillery, they immediately take shelter in the tunnels and dugout positions that they have built under the railway bed. The presence of these well-prepared positions is slowing down the advance of the Ukrainian forces. In the northern part of Bakhmut front, Russian forces managed to make small advances along the railway southwest of Berkhivka. However, some Russian sources warn that this may be a tactical maneuver of the Ukrainian forces because according to them the Ukrainian command maintains a high number of troops in the area, estimated to be over 35,000 soldiers, which according to them raises doubts over a possible counteroffensive of the Ukrainian forces in this direction. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and have a great day.